what we try to do is take the knowledge of the organization that already exists, and it doesn't have to be a structure. It can be in manuals, and it can be in the website. And we take all that information, ingest it into our platform, and then you tell them, okay, I want all that information to be an onboarding course for our new employees. The platform is going to do the structural design process. It's going to ingest the information, understand it. It's going to break it down in this many modules. These are the learning outcomes, and start writing all those lessons.
Hello, welcome to EdTech Leaders today. We have Luis Garcia, President and Co-Founder of PETE Learning, otherwise known as PETE. You make AI-powered tools for workforce learning. That's my short version.
Yes, that's a good version.
Good. So tell me more. What do you do?
Yes, so exactly as you mentioned, first of all, thank you for having me, Oliver, and very happy to be here. So I've been in education and digital education for over 2 decades now. And depending how you do an educational experience, several parameters that you have to follow. But regardless of how you're creating an educational experience, the process of translating the expertise that you want to communicate and into a learning experience that is effective is actually pretty hard. And people that are experts in any domain always think that, I just can teach that because they're an expert, they have the knowledge, but then they realize as they're trying to create courses, even as simple as creating a PowerPoint to speak to a group of people, they realize that it's not as easy to break down their thoughts into a process that actually makes people understand. And when you're doing that at scale, in terms of volumes of courses that are going to be absorbed by lots of people, and that becomes harder. And if those courses are self-paced, meaning that the learner is actually getting all the instruction without any feedback, and it becomes even harder because the materials themselves are doing the teaching. So in the past, you solve this by having teams of people being instructional designers who are the experts of creating this path from the expertise into the learning experience, but then also have to be, supported by writers and designers. And if you want to do video people, things, it takes a lot to do a job of creating effective courses. So that's one part of the problem. And when you're creating courses, the other part of the problem is that evaluating the learning of the learner, what we call an educational assessment, and it's actually really hard also at scale, and even harder if it's self-paced. And because again, you're not really talking to the expert cannot really dig in and ask you more questions. So we rely on quizzes and tests, and which is you have a probability of always in a multiple choice having the right answer, even if you actually don't know the answer. And but it's the most scalable way to do an evaluation of learning. So those two problems are the problems that we set out to solve, and specifically apply to workforce learning because it's not really a place where people thinking about effective learning. Companies know that they have to train people, but they're not learning organizations themselves, so they don't know actually how that process goes. If you're large enough, then you hire a department, and a learning manager, instructional designers, and get a learning management system. It's a platform for tracking learning, and do that, and that's quite expensive. But if you're a smaller company, and let's say in the few hundreds of employees, you do have this problem of having to train people, and because we cannot rely on the experts to be good teachers, but you don't have the resources, the kind of budget to do it at the scale the big companies do it. So that's what we wanted to solve. How do we bring self-paced digital learning to smaller companies at a very effective in the training and effective in the pricing that we do?
So can you describe to me what that looks like?
Yes. So the typical customer usually falls in three counts. Usually is either the owner of the company, and that realizes it's growing fast, and he or she can no longer be the know-it-all of the organization. Or sometimes it's a team leader, let's say like the head of sales or something like that is scaling, and then realizes that every time he steps out to do training, he's not really doing the job, and he or she doesn't know if he's actually doing the job correctly. And the third case is the HR department that all of a sudden gets said, you are in charge of training, and they have to figure it out. So in all these cases, they don't know what a learning platform is. They just know that they have the need. And so our platform is very intuitive. And what we try to do is take the knowledge of the organization that already exists, and it doesn't have to be structured. It can be in manuals, and it can be in the website. It can be in wikis, in presentations, even in calls like this. We took all that information, ingested into our platform, and then you tell them, okay, I want all that information to be an onboarding course for our new employees. And then you work with the platform in creating those courses. So you give them all the information, the title of the course, the description of the course, which doesn't have to be very complicated. And the platform is going to do the instructional design process. It's going to ingest the information, understand it. It's going to break it down in this many modules. These are the learning outcomes. And start writing all those lessons. We also added audio to it in a way that we can synthesize the voice of the expert, so he can be the person delivering, the actual person that is an expert delivering the courses. We can use a default voice from our system. And so it's not only just text in the slides, it's also audio narrating those slides. And it does that really quickly, in minutes. And then we have a series of tools for evaluating learning. We got AI-powered quizzes, and so you choose these are the learning outcomes I want to, and it gives you the questions and choices, and all that is very easily for you. But we also do a very more sophisticated way of evaluation, which is with our skills engine. And you can tell this chatbot, for lack of a better word, and say, okay, this is a scenario. This is what Pete is acting like. It's acting like an expert. It's acting like a process. It's acting like a customer. And this is the problem they want to solve. And this is what the learner has to do. They have to de-escalate the call, or inform the customer of how to solve the problem, or cross-sell a different product, and whatever you want it to be. And then it does that practice with the learner, and then evaluates against the learning outcomes that you have set up. Now, that skills assessment, it started as a chatbot, just text, but we know that the real world doesn't work all in text. Sometimes people actually speak. So we also have the ability for use the voice of the expert, and then you can speak to it, and so having a conversation that way. And we recently launched also human-like avatars, so you can have a conversation with an actual human, and while you're doing your practice.
Cool. So you can have the avatar be a tutor, or you could do role play. Correct. With the avatar.
Yes.
Cool. And this is mostly dependent on the client's existing resources, their documents, videos, Zoom calls, and that's what the AI is training on.
That's correct. However, sometimes companies, it's interesting. Sometimes companies think, if I don't have a manual, then I cannot do this. And it really can, the platform can be very flexible in terms of the sources. The platform can also use public sources in order to create a course. And sometimes we see that they want to do a course in something that they're not really an expert, but they like regulation or something like that. So we ingest the regulation and then create a course around that. So it can also use public sources to complement the information.
And then you can assist them with that. Say they want to do a course on regulation. They don't have the documents, but you would assist them in doing that.
So in our process, every time we onboard a new customer, depending on the size of the package that they're going with, they get more or less co-creation courses with us, because it's important that you learn how to use the platform and get quickly to have a published course that learners are taking. But also it's important that in that process, the AI gets trained properly, and you understand how that process works. So we always co-create with the customer the first few courses, and then after that, they're capable of doing it on their own.
Cool. So in measuring efficacy of learning, what are you learning about that? How well is it working?
It's working really well. I mean, this is very new technology, so every day we find out new things and tweaks that we have to do, and something we have learned that for the evaluation of learning in simulation is very important to give them good, accurate information about what's happening. It's capable of creating a simulation out of public sources, but then it becomes really generic. And so it's always important, even for a regulation. Let's say that you're saying you're doing a course about regulation. We can ingest the regulation, but it's also important to at least write a paragraph or two of how that regulation affects your business, how it applies to your industry. So that way it can actually position it in a way that is relevant to you. And PETE stands for personalized education, training, and enrichment. This personalized thing is really what really matters at the end, because courses, you can get courses from anywhere, but what really matters is the point of view, how it affects your business. And so we really encourage and have different ways to help the content creator make it personalized.
What industries are you in? Who are some of
You
your
know,
big
it's
clients?
it's been really interesting because we had a plethora of industries. And some of our first customers were in venue management. Venues have a lot of 1099 employees that work only on event day, and it's really hard to train hundreds of people to come to a soccer game, but they are customer facing. So it's important. So our first clients were a couple of those, and so we thought, okay, venues, that's what we're going to go after, and we have a lot of venues and professional teams conversations, but also we had a credit union and a fintech company, and then a law firm came to us, and we also have a law firm, and a construction company came to us, and we also have those, and medical supplier came to us, and so far it's been very spread out in terms of industries, but what we have found that it's mostly professional services when they are customer facing.
So a lot of it is for training for the customer facing skills.
Yes.
And are some of the companies using it for, well, there's sales, I'm sure skills, right?
Yeah.
But are any of them opening it up to their customers?
Yes. So sometimes they arrive to us because they want to train their employees, but sometimes they come to us because they want to train their customers, and because their product is complicated, and or they want to have an enhanced experience of their service or something like that. And some companies want to do both.
That's really cool.
Uh-huh.
So when did you start?
So we are just entering our third year. We just turned two like yesterday or something. I mean, and so we've been at this for 2 years now.
That's so exciting. And where are you in terms of growth?
Yeah. So we have 55 customers, and about half of them in the United States and the other half around the world. So in terms of our contracts under management, we have close into $600,000 in contracts, and so that's where we are.
That's great. And what have you been doing as far as marketing that works for you?
Yeah, so very interesting. So as a new startup, the first year is what startups call founder-led sales, right? So it's me and my partner calling our network and, will you please check this out? And I'm trying to get sales that way. So our first year was pretty much that. I would say even more than a year and a half, I was pretty much that. So it's about 7, 8 months ago, we started preparing a platform for generating demand that would not depend on us, because you can't really scale that way. So we do quite a bit of digital advertising through different channels that generate leads, that now we have a sales team that take care of them. So now all our sales come from digital advertising that's converted into sales via our sales department.
It's paid advertising.
Paid advertising, yes.
Okay, cool. And email outreach?
So we do publishing advertising, like in Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, also newsletters. Specifically, HR newsletters have been very effective for us. They're small; they don't have a big audience, but they consistently generate high quality leads. We recently added an agency for cold emailing, and that has been very effective as well. And our sales team also do cold outreach themselves. They go and knock on doors, make a lot of phone calls every single day to strangers, and that's part of the mix as well.
Cool. So you're starting to see some results from all of these efforts.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have been at it for 7 months now, and all of our sales come from that.
Oh, that's great.
And we have had the best 7 months we ever had. So it's actually
The best what?
the best 7 months in sales that we ever had. So yes.
Oh, that's great. That's so exciting. Where do you want to go from here? What are your goals for the next 6 months, year, 2 years?
So by the end of this year, we want to double our customer base, and so we're preparing for that, and investing more in marketing to gain more capacity, and also preparing for another round of funding as a startup. So you got to raise money to create the capacity to be able to grow. And so last year we had a first round of what we call a seed round, the initial capital that we raised $2.2 million last year, and now we're preparing for another round, what they call a Series A, which we're preparing to do by the end of this year. The goal of a company doesn't have to be to raise money, but it's a necessary thing that you need. Our goal is to create a sustainable, growing company, but you do need the capital in order to make that happen. So our goals for the end of the year is to continue in the trajectory that we are right now. That is to double our customer base. And that will help us raise the capital for towards the end of the year that will give us the capital for the following 2 years. And if everything goes well, we should be self-sustaining by then.
That's exciting. So you mentioned half in the U.S. and half international.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
Yes.
Is it Spanish language based mostly? International?
Actually, so far it's been all English based,
Okay.
and we're getting a lot of demand lately from Spanish speaking countries. Actually, right after this recording, I have a demo in Mexico, and so yeah, we at least once or twice a week I'm speaking with a company in Latin America, and that's interested in our platform.
Interesting. Is it adaptable for other languages? Once you build it, can you?
Yes.
Does it translate well?
Yeah, it does. We already have customers using it for Spanish, and Spanish is my native language, so I can attest to the quality of it. And it does a really good job. It does something very interesting too, because the source can be in English and the course can be in Spanish, which is a really cool thing to have, because sometimes companies, especially global companies, and the headquarters will force certain courses into the countries, but they will provide it only in English. And then, the HQ in Colombia or Mexico, then they have their people in training have to take that course and kind of redo it, translate it, and localize it, and to deliver it. With our platform, they can take the source in English, rewrite the course in Spanish, and deliver it. So it is multi-language capable, and we have tried with English, all of our customers, but Spanish and Portuguese, and so far those two are really good.
That's amazing. So in theory, yeah, you could have a multinational corporation in 6 different countries, 6 different languages, say, and it would work. And theoretically, the source could even be not just English, but it could be in several languages.
Yes, I have tried even what you're asking, which is like, can I check sources in different languages and then produce the course in a particular other language, and it does well with that as well. Yeah.
Cool. On a personal level, when people are working with avatars, how is that emotionally? How are they feeling? Are they adapting to it, or are people used to it just because of ChatGPT and having that kind of?
Yeah, I think in general everyone is getting more comfortable speaking to synthetic relationships, and even via text or audio, now video. From the very beginning, the idea of doing human-like avatars was very interesting, but the technology wasn't really there. I mean, so we waited for the technology to get there. It was kind of weird. Like, person looked very different, like the mouth was, it didn't really sync well, things like that. Today, it's very powerful. And we just launched it literally 2 weeks ago. So we had, I don't think anybody had deployed it yet. And, but it's been, when we do demonstrations, people react really well to it. Like they really like it. It hasn't been like, oh, this is uncomfortable, we want to do it. They actually love the idea of having a human-like avatar do role playing with them.
Oh, that's cool. And are you thinking of adding, or do you have like the memory so that that avatar would begin to remember the past interactions with that individual person?
Yeah, it doesn't do that today. It has very short memory still, and that's something that will advance with time, because it not only remember the past interaction, but the personalization is very based on the interaction at that moment. But what you want to get to a point in which the personalization is really learning everything from that particular learner, and be able to generate content to fill learning gaps in a personalized way, and that's down the road. But I think that it's very much possible.
So exciting.
Yes,
So if someone wants to check you out, it's PETE.com.
very easy. PETE.com, and there's a form there. Or if they see one of our advertisements, you can fill up any of those forms, and our team will call you right back.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Oliver. This is great.